This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, a man was arrested in central Dunedin this morning after allegedly smashing through a window and climbing on top of a shop awning. Broad Bay residents say the City Council's plans to widen the road will destroy their small slice of paradise. And the redevelopment of Arrowtown School is finally taking shape and is set to be finished by the end of the year. Kia ora, good evening. I'm Simon Anderson. A man was arrested in central Dunedin this morning after allegedly smashing through a window and climbing on top of a shop awning. Police officers lined the streets as well stationed themselves inside the Community Corrections office as they tried to coax the man back inside.
Lower Stewart Street and Moray Place were cordoned off this morning after a man walks onto an awning above shops, making it to a fire escape ladder on a neighbouring building. Windows were smashed on the first floor Dunedin Central Community Corrections office, sending glass to the street and passing cars. Eyewitness Matthew Wedd was in the probation offices attending his last meeting when he heard a commotion.
All of a sudden started hearing loud thumping, wondering what that was, assuming someone was punching a wall, a bit frustrated. Then the thumping got louder and louder, and then smashing of glass. And I've been in there more than once. The glass isn't thin, it takes a fair amount of effort. So yeah, just a little bit of, oh, okay, well if someone's got that much aggression, I might want to stay in this room for a little bit longer.
The man remained on the awnings for 10 to 20 minutes, yelling at people in the street. Police shadowed his moves from the ground before he was taken into custody, just before 11:30 a.m. Dunedin police say they were called to the building about 10:50 a.m. The man tried to evade police, but was arrested half an hour later. In Dunedin, the South Today.
2 people were seriously injured after a 3-car crash in Dunedin's The Glen yesterday afternoon.
Emergency services were called to the crash scene just after 5 p.m. and firefighters had to use the jaws of life to rescue trapped people.
So what we've got behind us is we had a 3-car MBA. There were 5 people trapped when we arrived. We've subsequently transported 6 patients with St John's and police and obviously fire and emergency are going to be here on scene for some time, tidying up the aftermath.
St John says of the 6 people taken to hospital, 2 were in a serious condition, while the other 4 suffered moderate injuries. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Residents in the small Otago Peninsula settlement of Broad Bay are worried the City Council's plans to widen the road at the entrance to the town will destroy their small slice of paradise. As part of the multi-million-dollar Peninsula Connection project, Portobello Road will be widened, potentially impacting a local reserve and beach.
As progress continues on the multi-million-dollar Peninsula Connection, concerns are being raised about the impact on one community's special spot. Broad Bay residents say plans to widen the road near the township will ruin a local reserve and cause congestion around the local boat club. Resident Simon Blake is not happy after being shown the Dunedin City Council's plans to widen the Broad Bay section of Portobello Road last week. He's appalled the plan includes the removal of native trees on the reserve next to the area's man-made beach.
I'm really worried about this bit of reserve disappearing and the new road widening. This tree here is just full of bellbirds and tuis, you can hear them.
A graphic designer, Blake has mocked up his own images of what he thinks the area will look like after the work is complete. Dunedin City Council Transport Delivery Manager Josh von Pine says staff plan to consult further and plans will then be amended to reflect any feedback received. He also says where possible native trees will be replanted elsewhere within the reserve and any permanently removed will be replaced with new native plants.
It's a very special place for Broad Bay families and we don't want to lose it.
Broad Bay residents are set to meet at the Community Hall next Sunday to discuss the plans. In Dunedin, the South Today.
About 15,000 tonnes of old rubbish from the washed-out Fox River landfill is to be relocated. This is to avoid a repetition of last year's environmental disaster and massive clean-up after floodwaters spread rubbish along the Fox River. The project will cost over $3 million, with about half going towards a new landfill site and the other half covering the cost of shifting the waste from the old landfill. The project is expected to temporarily employ about 50 people in a region that's been deeply affected by lack of tourism. The redevelopment of Arrowtown School is finally taking shape 8 years after problems with the leakage were discovered. Principal Chris Bryant says the bulk of construction work should be completed by the end of the year.
Arrowtown School is nearing the end of a massive $11 million redevelopment, which includes replacing a number of buildings that were identified as being leaky in 2012. School Principal Chris Bryant says there's been a lot of transformation in the last 2 years.
Probably the beginning of last year we started with demolition and the refurbishment of a couple of the classrooms that haven't been pulled down. So we're standing on, well, I suppose, at the end of phase 2, which is the refurbishment of this block here, where the leaky building issues have been addressed. Looking out behind me there, we've got the new admin and staff lounge, which is nearing completion. That's going to be finished by the end of this term, so we'll be into that in term 4. And then over your left shoulder there, I'm looking at the construction work going on our new 14 class learning area, or 14 learning spaces, and that's due to be finished at the end of this year.
The project has not been easy to work around, and 4 temporary classrooms have had to be put into use. But Bryant says he's been very impressed with the attitudes of both staff and pupils.
I can't speak proudly enough of the staff and the kids here. We've been in this disrupted state for at least 2 years. COVID-19 threw another spanner in the works, so to speak. But everybody has just pulled together, adjusted to the environment and worked really well. The teaching and the learning has remained exceptional. Kids have remained settled and engaged in what they're doing, and the staff have worked really hard.
The school's buildings date back to 1997, when eaves were out of fashion. The Ministry of Education says there were no health and safety issues associated with the leaky buildings. In Arrowtown, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. What about New Zealand? Has an emerging designer seen colour? And just how is Invercargill inaccessible? Find out after the break.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Hi, Lindsay Campbell. We're back in Invercargill again. We're here for a month. We've got a men's fashion clearance and up to 70% off. We're right beside the motorcycle Mecca. Check them out too. Jackets, lovely knitwear, scarves, hats, you name it, we'll keep you warm. Come and see us at the MENSWEAR Fashion Clearance pop-up.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
That's the Alex Campbell Menswear pop-up store in Invercargill.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Wrens are Otago's painting, tiling and plastering experts. Offering a free measure and quote, Wrens is a name you can trust to get the job done right. Call Wrens today on 477 9384 or visit wrens.co.nz.
Do you know Youth Grow in North East Valley? It's an awesome plant nursery where young people can work and learn life skills. You can now order your vegetable seedlings, herbs, bulbs and shrubs over the phone or by email. Either pick up your order on Norwood Street in North East Valley or they can deliver to you. Look for Youth Grow Garden Centre on Facebook or visit youthgrow.org.nz. Happy gardening!
Heaven Sent Pet Cremations knows that losing a pet is like losing a family member, and we have many special ways for you to keep their memory dear to your heart. From caskets, remembrance pendants to remembrance fairs. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Namaya Nor, welcome back. He wasn't supposed to return home this way, but after a massive fundraising effort, the body of Josiah Mani has been reunited with his family in Papua New Guinea. The 24-year-old was one of two people who died in a car crash in Dunedin on the 4th of July. He was a member of the Kia Toa Tigers Sports Club, which rallied in the wake of the crash to help get his body home. An Otago Polytechnic student from Russia has felt more freedom to embrace colour since arriving in New Zealand. Vera Kalagina is a finalist in this year's ID International Emerging Designer Awards.
Vera Kalagina is just one of 4 New Zealand-based fashion students to become finalists in this year's ID International Emerging Designer Awards. She says thanks to the COVID-19 lockdown, students had to submit their designs by video, which wasn't a straightforward process.
It was very weird because I didn't have models, didn't have camera, nothing. And thank you for my flatmate and for my phone camera. And so I made it.
She's been at Otago Polytechnic doing her 1-year graduate diploma, having already done extensive undergraduate studies in Russia. She says her creations are unconventional and explore Far Eastern themes.
I've always been keen on something unconventional, so my aesthetic in tune with maybe Asian aesthetic, maybe Japanese design, maybe Korean.
And it's important to her there's zero waste in creating her garments, which is one reason she's embracing her newly adopted homeland of New Zealand.
New Zealand is exactly that part of the world where people worry about environment and about efficient and about ethical fashion and everything because of mentality. And I feel I'm just in the right place, you know, and I like it.
The winners of this year's ID International Emerging Designer Awards are set to be announced next Friday. In Dunedin, the South today.
The Invercargill City Council could improve its mobility parking spaces and pathways to make the city more wheelchair friendly. That's according to resident Tracy Smith, who says the costs to make the city safer for wheelchair users would not be expensive.
Invercargill resident Tracy Peters says it wouldn't cost much to turn Invercargill into a much more wheelchair friendly city.
I really do not believe it's going to cost any extra money. There are some simple things that can be done to make it easier and safer for everybody, because nobody's getting any younger. And more importantly, disability is not an exclusive club. Anybody at any time can suffer a disability, short-term or long-term. Nobody's exempt. So let's make Invercargill an easier, safer city for people to get around.
She's already presented a submission at the Council's last Infrastructural Services Committee meeting and says one thing that would make things much safer for low-riding wheelchair users would be mirrors at some of the city's uncontrolled crossings.
For instance, on East Street, with all those cars parked, it can be quite dangerous for me to try and get across the road because I can't see over the cars and cars coming up the street can't see me. So if there was perhaps some mirrors, then pedestrians could see in the mirror if there's something coming. They could see whether it was safe to step out.
Peters points out that town planners seem to forget how much space is needed for a mobility park to be safe and effective.
7 metres is actually a lot of space. That's what you need. And in a lot of the car parks, the length is only the length of the vehicle. They haven't sort of thought, well, okay, there's the length of the vehicle and then there's a ramp and a wheelchair. And even if you don't have a ramp, even if you're lifting a wheelchair out of the back of a vehicle, you still need 7 metres because you've got to be able to physically reach, lift the wheelchair out, manoeuvre yourself backwards.
Peters says she's planning to meet council officials next week to discuss her concerns. In Invercargill, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, organisers of the world's southernmost foosball club hope to establish a nationwide league, and we take a look at your midweek weather. See you soon.
Come on, mate. The blue doesn't go with the brown.
Garage Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garage quality service. Garage Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Do you know Youth Grow in North East Valley? It's an awesome plant nursery where young people can work and learn life skills. You can now order your vegetable seedlings, herbs, bulbs and shrubs over the phone or by email. Either pick up your order on Norwood Street in North East Valley or they can deliver to you. Look for Youth Grow Garden Centre on Facebook or visit youthgrow.org.nz. Happy gardening!
Wrens are Otago's painting, tiling and plastering experts. Offering a free measure and quote, Wrens is a name you can trust to get the job done right. Call Wrens today on 477 9384 or visit wrens.co.nz. Heaven Sent Pet Cremations knows that losing a pet is like losing a family member, and we have many special ways for you to keep their memory dear to your heart. From caskets, remembrance pendants to remembrance spheres. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Step into Shop on Carol and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Inside are all sorts of innovations from all over China.
Thanks for staying with us. Dunedin may be home to the southernmost foosball club in the world. A European-born lecturer at the University of Otago with a passion for table soccer is hoping to start a national league across New Zealand.
Even to the untrained eye, the difference between people playing table soccer and a foosball expert is easy to see. And it's more than just the use of a golfer's glove.
Yeah, so it's important that you have good control over the handle, so you need a lot of grip to accelerate the rod.
Paul Schuschke has been wanting to establish a table soccer club in Otago for about 18 months and now believes Foosball Dunedin is the southernmost club playing the sport in the world.
Yes, so I couldn't find any other club that far south on the hemisphere.
Schuschke says it wouldn't have been possible to set the club up without a generous gift of these professional tables. He says getting the tables here came about following a chance meeting.
I meet people, I ask them, do you play foosball? And so once I met this German family, asked them, do you play foosball? And then they said no, but our best friend is the vice president of the German Table Soccer Federation. Half a year later, this vice president called me and asked me whether he can send us 7 tables to set up in New Zealand. And that's how we got these tables, for free.
And his mission now is to make foosball popular across New Zealand. So far there are also clubs in Christchurch and Auckland. Melita Bush is a student in Schuschke's department and says when she's not studying behavioural and physiological influences on age and first foraging in Vespular wasps, she and her friends are rapidly becoming converts to the game.
When Paul came to zoology, he brought the foosball table with him, encouraged us all to play, and it was just really fun to do it, and breaks from work, good stress relief.
Foosball Dunedin players meet Tuesdays between 5:30 and 7 in the foyer of Unipol. And Schuschke says all are welcome. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. A man was arrested in central Dunedin this morning after allegedly smashing through a window and climbing on top of a shop awning. Broad Bay residents say the City Council's plans to widen the road will destroy their small slice of paradise. And the redevelopment of Arrowtown School is finally taking shape and is set to be finished by the end of the year, all things going to plan. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we welcome Hayden Meikle. Go Hayden.
Good evening, Simon. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
Excellent. Good. Well, it's looking like a busy evening. A lot of news happening this evening. Very, very shortly, actually, as I speak, the parents of Sophia Cristani, the young student tragically killed last year, are going to be making a big announcement with the University of Otago. So we're there and waiting with interest to see what that is. And that'll be all over page 1 of tomorrow's paper. And also tonight there's a big meeting about the Terrace Airport project. You know, this fascinating story of Christchurch Airport investigating the possibility of a new airport. I'm sure there will be some very interesting comments passed tonight. I'm sure the people of that community will be keen to have their voices heard. So we are there. We have a reporter at that meeting, and Mark Price will be reporting in later to see how that goes. Interesting court case in Oamaru today. The driver of a car in which 2 young men died last year was up for sentencing today, and we've got some victim impact statements and that sort of stuff. And of course, a big day for sport, really. The sad news that Andy Hayden, the great All Black lock, had died. We'll have some coverage and tributes to Andy in tomorrow's paper. And Southern United, the football team, the men's football team at least, confirming they will not be taking part in the National League this season. COVID-19 sort of changed the landscape, financial reasons. I think the women and the futsal team will still be playing in their respective leagues, but the men are out. I think they'll get a chance to play in a sort of combined South Island team, which will be good for some of our local footballers. So all sorts of other little bits and pieces should be an interesting paper.
That's great, Hayden. Thanks.
Thanks, Simon.
Time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with the city view, watching life go by in Dunedin's Great King Street. Looking at the situation, another couple of days with northerly airflow ahead, keeping temperatures on the mild side and the rain on the western side. Starting off with the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport are looking cloudy with cloudy skies, showers and 14 degrees. Across to the northeast, Nelson and Blenheim can expect cloudy skies and 13 degrees each. Moving down to Canterbury, it'll be cloudy with a chance of showers. Kaikoura and Christchurch should reach 14 and Ashburton aims for 16 degrees. To the southern towns, plan for moderate northeasterlies and some high cloud across this area. The Catlins should reach 12 degrees, Balclutha 13, with both Lumsden and Gore set to reach 14 degrees. In central Otago, you can expect moderate northerlies and high cloud. Wanaka and Queenstown are due for 11, while Alexandra and Tiano should reach 12 degrees. To the northern towns, on the coast, Timaru and Oamaru can expect light northeasterlies with some high cloud and 15 degrees for you both. Inland, those in Twizel and Omarama can plan for moderate northerlies, high cloud and 12 degrees. In Dunedin, high cloud tonight with an overnight low of 8 degrees. Warmer weather tomorrow with thick cloud and northeasterlies, a high of 15 and a low of 8. Still warmish on Friday with thick high cloud and moderate northerlies, a high of 14 and a low of 8 degrees. And to Invercargill, high cloud tonight with an overnight low of 7. Mostly fine tomorrow, looking at a high of 16 and a low of 7. Similar on Friday with fresh breezy northerlies, a mild high of 15 and a low of 8 degrees. That's the news this Wednesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Enjoy your evening. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.